season and how we can practice a safe relationship with Jesus Christ, even in the toxic environment. Our message for the day we take from Isaiah 43, verses 1 through 7. That's Isaiah 43, verses 1 through 7. And you will find, as recorded in the English Standard Version, it reads as thus. But now, thus saith the Lord, He who created you, O Jacob, He who formed you, O Israel. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name, and you are mine. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, and the flame shall not consume you. For I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. I give Egypt as your ransom, Cush and Seba in exchange for you, because you are precious in my eyes, and honored, I love you. I give men in return for you, people in exchange for your life. Fear not, for I am with you. I will bring your offspring from the east and from the west, and I will gather you. I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, do not withhold. Bring your sons from afar, my daughters from the ends of the earth. Verse 7 says, for everyone who is called by my name, whom I created for my glory, whom I am formed and made. Our subject matter for this preachment on this morning, this glorious morning that the Lord has made, the redemptive joy for the journey. The redemptive joy for the journey. And again, the redemptive joy for the journey. Let me begin by asking you a question. Are you happy? That seems to be the dividing moment in this COVID-19 era. Are you happy? Happiness is based on circumstances, not on the situation that you have been born into or you have been redeemed from. I'm going to ask again, are you happy in the Lord today? Is there joy in your heart because of your relationship with Jesus Christ as Lord? It is often easy to lose our joy as we focus on the problems of this life. God's people ought to be joyful. If anyone has a reason to smile and laugh, we do. We have a hope that is out of this world. There's much for a child of God to rejoice about. These verses that we embark upon today and given to the nation of Israel concerning their captivity, they are specific to Israel, yes, but there's a great application for the church today as well. I trust as we look at the principles in these verses, we find encouragement in the Lord and realize that it is possible for us to have redemptive joy in the journey. Redemptive joy for the journey. The enormous price God paid to ransom his people is the subject in the present scripture. In the previous chapters, Isaiah has said to the people that his day was continuing in their sin and refusing to turn back to the Lord. As a result, God's anger, God's wrath burned against them in Isaiah 42 verses 23 to 25. Now, we would expect God's hand of judgment to immediately fall upon the Israelites. We would expect him to abandon and destroy them. But the opposite is true. God is long-suffering and not willing that any person should perish and be doomed to eternal separation from him. With a broken heart, the people's failure, the Lord reached out to ransom, to redeem them from both their sins and their enemies. If you look at the beginning of the verse, it says this, but now, thus saith the Lord, which alludes to the previous chapters of how God had left them in a place of hopelessness and helplessness because of their rebellion and their sin, and now they are 50 years of captivity by the hands of the Babylonians because they have worked and they failed in their relationship with God. but now, thus saith the Lord. It's a transition moment between what was and what is to be. Now, these verses, as I said earlier, God has paid an enormous price. And if you remember very carefully, in the books of Isaiah, 1st and 2nd Isaiah, remember that Isaiah predicted the destruction of Jerusalem and the exile of the Jewish people. But he had also predicted the Persians would miraculously free God's people from their Babylonian captivity of 50 years. Isaiah 41, verses 1 through 20. Furthermore, the Lord will set them free from all their enslavements, and as they use their entanglements and bondages of this life through the coming of God's very special glorious servant, Jesus Christ as Messiah. Chapter 42, verses 1 through 25. So in verse 1, as I said, it begins, but now, thus saith the Lord, that this transactional fact between God, wrath and anger, is also his redeeming love. That's the nature of God. God loves us even though we were sinners. God loves us even though we were rebels against his truth and against everything he ordained. Now God declares that his people can be set free through the wondrous redemption provided by the Lord Jesus Christ. So first of all, let's look at the redeemed people, Isaiah 43, 1 through 7. Israel is spoken here as a redeemed people. Redemption involves, my brothers and sisters, many things. Here the emphasis is on the possession, that's right, the protection, that's right, the price, that's right, the passion, and the promises that are involved in the redemption of the Israelites. Let's look at the person of redemption in verse 1. The basic fact of redemption, my brothers and sisters, are given here with the emphasis on who is the Redeemer in the relationship of redeemed people. Who is the Redeemer in the relationship of redeemed people? First of all, I see their Creator. He says, I created thee, O Jacob, and I formed thee, Isaiah 43 and 1. Israel's Redeemer is special. He is no idol, but is the God who created them. He is the Yahweh God. The ultimate reference of identity of God is creator. Not a God of confusion, but a creator. That is why man does not want creation by a divine being as in the context of evolution. For it forces them to acknowledge the fact that God is greater than anything they ever come or achieve. But then not only they are the creator, I also said in verse 1, there's the chooser. He says, I have called thee by thy name. Thou art mine. Let me say this to you, that's important. Even though they have not been redeemed, he says about them and gives them a covering, I have called thee by thy name. In other words, he knows who they are, and he says upon them, even in their fallen state, I have redeemed thee, and thou art mine. Isn't that wonderful that no matter what you've been in your life, you still have opportunity to be chosen by God? Notice that they did not choose God because they rebelled against God. He chose them even in their sin. For God was in Christ, reconciling the world unto himself. Isaiah 43 and 1, God chose Israel as his people, as his nation, as his warriors. The sovereign choosing upset a lot of people, for they want to do the choosing themselves and not let God do it. But God chose Israel, but now, my brothers and sisters, thus saith the Lord, who created you, O Jacob, and who formed you, O Israel. Then he says something else. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. Fear not, for I have redeemed you. What you have to go into the mind of the Israelites at this point? Number one, they had turned away from God because they didn't feel that God had served them correctly, even though they had not served God correctly. Isn't that strange how we do not serve God correctly, but yet we think God is not serving us? What a warped thinking. Whenever we are honest in our relationship with God, God will maintain his promise to us. They themselves were fearful because, number one, they had rebelled against God and felt that God would not honor them, which was true. But yet God said to them, fear not, for I have redeemed you. Now the second part of this was, why would they be fearful? Number one, there was a God, it would be a God by the name of Murdoch, that many were turning to because they were in Babylonian captivity. And they were saying, well, the Babylonians seem to be doing fairly well, even though they do the same thing we do. It does not matter what other people people do. It only matters what you do as redeemed people who God says, you are mine and I own you. He said, I call you by your name and you are mine. Now you may ask the question, well, what do you mean? What God has said, even in our waywardness, he said, I chastise those who I love. Why? Because your name is mine. And I don't know about you today. I'm glad today that no matter where I am in a relationship in the world, no matter what the world does to me, I hear him say, thou art mine. Because thou art mine, I will give you protection and provision. Says the Lord who created you and who will form you. God speaks to his people as that creator. God has a special unique claim upon the people as their creator. He is our creator. When man forgot or rejected God as creator, they failed the most obligation they have to God. He says, fear not. This was not a question, this was a command, accompanied by promises. And you must understand, anytime God deals with man on God's behalf, it will always be a command accompanied by promises. You can't have the promises without following through on the command. I'm going to say it again. You cannot have the promises, I don't care how much you say in Jesus' name, if you have not followed the command. The command and the promises link together. By our circumstances, the people of Judah had reason to be afraid of Babylonian army and the exile. God points them past the present circumstances to both his commands and his purposes. And right now I want to suggest to you, maybe somewhere we've left out the commandments of God, the commands of God, the promises of God, the word of God, but yet we want to hold to the promise. He said, Lord, I'm with you always. That's based on are you really following him? Because let me say justice to you, as is historically proven, they still found themselves in exile because they had judgment upon themselves because they did not follow God's plan. Now, he says, for I have redeemed you. Not only did Israel have an obligation to God as their creator, also as their redeemer. Let me say it again. Not only do they have an obligation to God as their creator, but also even now as their redeemer. He is the one who brought them out of the literal exile and spiritual slavery. Now, as his people, as I said earlier, they did not choose him. Redeemer, he is the one who brought them out of the 50 years of literal exile and spiritual slavery. Now you must remember also, he's the same one who brought them out of 400 years of exile in Egypt because, number one, they had rebelled against him and did not do as he had commanded. As a result, they could not walk in the promises that he had provided. The Redeemer brought an unfortunate relative out of the slavery and debt. He rescued them and paid the slave price for the debt they could not pay themselves. Let me say this to you. I don't care how many Hail Marys, how many Father of grace, I don't care how you give without God compelling your heart to give and being biblically correct, God will not honor his promises until you have fulfilled the command. When God calls himself a redeemer, it looks forward to the price that must be paid for our salvation. That's redemptive joy right there. God got happy, knowing that the ultimate price will be paid for our redemption relationship with him. He said, I have called you by your name. You are mine. God Christ, watch this now, takes ownership of his people. They're not in the most perfect condition, but yet he takes ownership of them. He has a right ownership both as creator and redeemer. His ownership is personal. I'm going to say it again. His ownership is personal. He knows them by name. But then his ownership is also certain because he's saying, I sealed you because you are mine. Y'all missed the chance to shout. He has sealed you because you are mine. One writer says in John 10, nothing shall pluck you out of his hand. Why? Because you are his. Knowing that we belong to the Lord is a wonderful answer to fear. We can know that he holds us, protects us, guards us, and cares for us, and provides for us, even in COVID-19. We can know that he would not have created, redeemed, and called us unless he intended to finish his work in us. Let me say it again now. We can know for sure that he would not have created, redeemed, and called us unless he intended to finish his work God is for us and is looking out for our best interests, even though we don't even know our own best interests. So number 2, I see the protection and redemption. Verse 2, he said this, wow, this is amazing. He said, when thou passest through the water, I'm saying again, when thou passest, when thou art going through, when thou art moving forward, even though you are in captivity, when thou art trusting me no matter what you find yourself, when thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee. As I'm going through the valley of the shadow of death, he said, no, I'm with you. But watch this, not only did he say through the waters, he said, and through the rivers. It's getting tougher. The journey is getting tougher now. He says, when you pass it through the waters of life, and sometimes when you see me overflowed with the rivers of life, he said, they shall not overflow thee. What amazing promise to the Lord. Now watch this. He said, when thou walkest through the fires of life, thou shalt not be burned. Isaiah 43:2. It is wonderful. When you walk through the waters of life, when you walk through the rivers of life, when you walk through the fires of life that many times are tempting and tragic and tearful, he says, thou shalt not be destroyed. The redeemed of God have a great protection from God. And can I say this to you? If God has you, if God is for you, it don't matter what the world may do. This is also true in the gospel of redemption. When God redeems or purchases something, he will protect it and will never lose it. See, the security of the believer is seen here, as well as the fact that Israel will always be God's chosen people. Regardless of their troubles, Israel will not be annihilated. We found that out in the German destruction of the Jews. Oh, they killed their millions, but they're still stronger now. Not only the protection in the redeemed, but also the price in the redemption. Verse 3. He said, I gave Egypt for thy ransom. Now this blew my mind. He said, I gave Egypt for their ransom. Ethiopia and Seba for thee. What he really suggests is, as a reward for releasing captive Israel, the Persians under Camsea, son of Cyrus, was given Egypt as part of Ethiopia and Seba. Now what that means is, if God chose to give up everything he has, including his only begotten son, to save the redeemed, we'd have a right to be joyful. Y'all miss a chance to shout. If God would give up everything in the world to save you, to save I, so we can be redeemed in a relationship with him, that's a reason to have joy on the journey. But then the fourth thing I see is the passion of redemption in verse 4. He says, thou wast precious in my sight. I have loved thee. Therefore will I give men for thee, and people for thy life. God's affection for Israel and for you and I resulted in the redemption of Israel, giving men and people as payment for them. But thank God, he only gave one man, and that's Jesus Christ for the whole wide world. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him passeth through the rivers of life, shall not perish, passeth through the waters of life, shall not perish, passeth through the fires of life, shall not perish, but have everlasting life. God's redemption is also motivated by divine affection. As I said, God so loved the world. But then there are the promises in the protection, verses 5 and 6. He says something that I think amazing. He said, I will bring thy seed from the east and gather thee from the west. I will say to the north, give up, and from the south, keep not. See, the restoration of Israel is promised in their redemption. The promise was fulfilled first in the return of Israel from Babylonian captivity. But the promise would even be greater fulfilled in the full restoration of the Jews in the land when God in power brings them from the east, the west, the south, and the north to the land. The promise will be fulfilled in the future. Now, then there's the purpose of redemption. He says, I have created him for my glory. Israel created was for a divine purpose, for his glory. So it is with all God's creation, it's for his glory. Now, let me deal this, and I'm involves, first of all, our reflections of the past. That's right, reflections of the past. He said, but now, thus saith the Lord, that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name, and thou art mine. Notice, each of us has a past. Each of us has a past. And many of us would not allow our past to pass. No doubt there are some things we wish we could forget, some things that we should never have happened. And if God is willing to forgive you and forget our past, shouldn't He be willing to be also? We will never have joy today if we are unwilling to forgive ourselves past our mistakes. Let me say it again. We will never have redemptive joy today if we are unwilling to forgive ourselves of our past mistakes. I'm going to say it again. If we are going to have redemptive joy today, we must be willing to forgive ourselves of our past mistakes. Let me say this to you on every day. If others throw shade and snake around in your past, but you walk in the newness of joy, the redemption of Jesus Christ, healing, can I suggest today, forgive yourself. Let them continue to throw shade. Let them continue to talk about what you used to do. You forgive yourself and walk in the redemptive healing and say, now I'm a new creation in Jesus Christ. For the child of God, there are some things in our past that we can even let that rejoice about. What? What do you say, brother pastor? What do you say, brother preacher? What do you say, brother teacher? If you are saved, your past has some wonderful aspects worth reflecting. Notice this. Number one, our sorrow. Did you recognize who was speaking in the text? It was God Himself. Isn't it wonderful to know that God knows about our past? God knows about where we are now. But even now, God says, I love you and you are mine. That's something to rejoice about in the journey. The Lord Jehovah, He was reminding Israel as well as us just who He is. Never ever let whatever you're involved in ever be more paramount than Jesus Christ suffering and redemption for your life. There are times when even I reflect on the awesomeness of God, how He's bigger than I ever comprehended. He is the God of creation. All things were made by Him, and without Him, not anything was made. All that we see and know is of God, including ourselves. We are His handiwork of the master potter. God created us. He formed us out of the breath and the dust of the earth. And then look at my past. I'm reminded that I am a creation of God. That makes me somebody to Him. He says, no matter who you are in your station of life, no matter where you are on your journey, you are mine. I'm somebody to Him. I don't know where you are now. But fall down on your knees and God, no matter where I've done in my past, I am somebody to you. Bless His holy name. He made me for a purpose. I am His. And none of us are here by chance or mere luck. God has a plan for our lives. God has a plan for our lives. But we have to choose and decide to walk in His victorious plan for our lives. God gave each of us life. That in itself is a significant part of our past. Jeremiah 1 and 5 says, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee. And I ordained thee a prophet unto the nation. God put all the pieces together to make you and I who we are. We are His creation. But then not only do I see our sorrow, I see our salvation. For I have redeemed thee. I am also reminded of my redemption. God created me, but I was born in sin, separated from Him. He loved us enough to provide a means of our salvation. Consider the love of God, the price that was paid for our redemption. Before man was ever created, God knew he was sin and needed a Savior. He sent His only Son to be that ultimate price payer, the ultimate Redeemer as a Savior. And in our past, the day that I accepted Jesus was my best day. I've had some good experience in life, and I've had some bad experience in life. But none compared to the day I met Jesus in a personal relationship. And many times it's the only thing that I have to define who I am with Him. I know He found me, I surrendered to Him, and He has kept and not have joy in my heart. I'm redeemed today by the blood of Jesus Christ. He took my sin and gave me righteousness. God no longer sees the sin of my past, but the blood of Jesus. My sin, as far as God is concerned, is eternally forgiven. If you are saved, rejoice in your past. Praise God for his plan and be a willing Savior and accept the convicting power of the Holy Spirit. But then I see our separation. In the text it says, I have called thee by thy name. Thou art mine. We are also reminded of the change that has taken place in our lives. We are not what we used to be. Bless his holy name. There's a beautiful illustration about the prophet, the patriarch by the name of Jacob. When we find the introduction of Jacob in Genesis 32, 24 to 38, we find Jacob as a schemer, as a trickster. But when he admitted that he was who he was and recognized the God of his life, he says he never became the same. Listen, my brothers and sisters, I once called myself the name of the world, a sinner. And even though now I may be a saved sinner, a child of the devil, lost and undone. But thank God I got a new name. I got a new home. I have a new walk. I have a new talk. I have a new kingdom to work in. My name is now written in heaven. I am saved, a child of God, and I am redeemed. Therefore, if any man be in Christ Jesus, he is a new creation. All things have passed away, and behold, all things are becoming new. Thank God I was separated unto him as grace in Jesus Christ. So that's the reflection of the past. But then there's the assurance. And I know right now you're trying to figure out what I hear what you're saying, brother preacher. I hear what you're saying, brother teacher, but I'm just not sure. And you know that's a trick of the enemy. It's never based on how you feel or what's happened to you. It's based on what Jesus' redemptive power has done for you to have joy, even though you're not sure. We're sure for the day. He said, when thou passest through the waters, I'll be with thee. And through the rivers, they should not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned. Neither shall the flame kindle on thee. God has reminded Israel of their past, but he also reassured them of what they possess right now. I'm glad that he did not save me and leave me to make my own choices, my own way. Life may be hard, but we can have real joy today. Bless his holy name. We don't have to wait until we get to heaven. God is making provisions for us right now. Notice this. In our reassurance of the day, we have God's presence. We have God's presence. When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee. We can rejoice in the same promise. He will never leave us nor forsake us, according to Psalm 46 and 1. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in the time of trouble. God is always near. Aren't you glad? Aren't you glad for the present God in our daily life? He is merciful and mindful of all. But then there's God's presence, but then there's God's power. God's power. He says, and through them, and through the rivers. This reminded Israel had crossed the Jordan, the promised land. The mighty Jordan was out of his banks. At that time, it was inundation. It stood between them and the victorious life. The Lord's power held back the rivers so that they could safely cross over. May I suggest to you now, you ought to turn the pages in your life. Whatever you have been, you've been trained in your past. But your future says you have redemption, you can have joy, and you have nothing but a greater life. Even though you may find yourself in the same struggle, you can have joy through your struggle. Our lives have many occasions of difficulty and distress. There'll be times when it appears more than you can bear. We can even think that we would drown in our rivers of trouble. But listen, God has promised. God has promised. By his power, by his might, by his sovereign hand, the river shall not overflow us. There are some Jordans that we cannot cross in ourselves. But if we stay close to God, if we trust God no matter what season we find ourselves in, he will lead us through. Have we not all experienced his mighty power in the past? And if he did it in the past, he'll do it safely right now. So rejoice in the power of God and serve. So my brothers and sisters, as I close, not only do we have God's presence, God's power, we also have God's protection. When thou walkest through the fire, he said, thou shalt not be burned. Neither shall the flame kindle thee. I'm glad protects me. I've had many seasons where I didn't know what the outcome was going to be. But now on the other side of this season, I see God's hand was in it, through it, and he finished it. He said, all things work for the good of those who love the Lord, who are called according to his purpose in their life. And sometimes their purpose includes the cleansing power of trouble, of tears, of tiredness, of terrible things. That sometimes your cleansing comes because at that point, you know can't nobody do it but the Lord. Only God brought you out. That says that at that point, God is my Redeemer, a very present help in the time of trouble. So as I close today, my brothers and sisters, not only the reflection of the past, verse 1, reassurance of the day, verse 2, but our closing scriptures is a reminder of our future. Keep in mind the context of the passage. Israel had, because of rebellion and sin, faced 50 years of captivity. But God had promised it wouldn't last forever. There's an old song we used to sing, I'm so glad the trouble don't last always. He was reminding them of their future with him. We too have the hope of glorious life in God. If in this life only we have hope in Christ, we're all men of misery. This life of trouble, heartache, and pain isn't all there is for a child of God. Why? Because we have position. Somebody say position. Since thou wast precious in my sight, thou hast been honorable, and I have loved thee. They were precious unto the Lord and loved him. Now let me not say this today because we use this word have added that, my esteem this, my esteem that. But let me tell you today, according to the dictionary, what the word esteem means. The word precious means to esteem, to prize, to make highly value. Don't ever say you esteem something that you don't value of the highest. That was a great price paid for our redemption. The church is valuable to the Lord. We are secure in Jesus according to John 10, 28 and 29. He said, I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish. Not as the any man pluck them out of my hand. My Father which give them to me is greater than all, and no man is able to pluck them out of the Father's hand. So there's a great price for redemption. And the saved have a glorious position in Jesus Christ. This life may be filled with disappointment. It may be filled with disease and death. Others may not see much value in you, but God has a place reserved in heaven just for you. We are just one breath away from claiming a position we already possess. The same are as good as that. Rejoice in your position. So my brothers and sisters, as I close today, I want to say this to you now. What the writer says, Isaiah. Fear not, for the Lord is with you. He said, I will bring your offspring from the east, from the west. I will gather you. I will say to the north, give up the south. Do not withhold, bring my sons from afar and my daughters from the end of the earth. Everyone who is called my name, whom I created for my glory, whom I have formed and made. What he's saying is, there will also be a glorious gathering of the church, as represented as the bride of Christ. One day the bridegroom will call for his bride. It doesn't matter where you've been or when you died, or what has happened here in the east, west, north, and south. We will mark the celestial city of Jehovah, presented as a marriage son of the Lamb. What a day it will be when we stand in great number, received and be accepted by God. Lift up our heads in Christian on our wedding day approaching. We shall all be there, all the saints of God, even everyone that is called by name. So my closing, brothers and sisters, be not dismayed. We're in big times right now. Because you are redeemed, because you're saved, even because you're going through, God has his hand on you, and God has his hand in you. It doesn't matter where you find yourself, hold on to God's unchanging hand, because God is in you. May God bless you, may God keep you, and now you have the principles for having redemptive joy along the journey, even though we may be laden with struggle, we may be laden with suffering, and also may be laden with the snares of life. God bless you. This is Pastor William Michael Baptist Church, 175 Living Avenue, in the great city of Yonkers, New York. May God bless you.